from DLD.studio and I'm Sophie.
Dawn.
And we are here to talk about another batch of K-pop groups, girl groups in particular, that we have missed in our last review. But before we begin, we just want to remind you guys to please subscribe or like and give us a thumbs up if you're already here.
And to turn on your
bell button.
Bell button.
Yes. So if you're wondering why, why? If you like K-pop, if you like having a discussion about things like that, we honestly thought that we were kind of like these design geeks that like this kind of niche stuff, but we're getting really good responses and it really excites us
surprisingly
that other people like this.
Yeah.
So we're really excited. We also have a design community that talks about things like this. It's called Design Chit Chat with DLD.studio, and it's a nice safe space that if you're creative, if you like designing, to join in. We sometimes post job opportunities. We give each other tips on how to survive freelancing and creativity.
And most importantly, I think you can also network with other designers and fellow creatives, artists.
We honestly started this because one day we were ranting about our own run-in with this client, and we wanted to have other creatives to talk about it with, but then this group just organically grew, and I feel like there needs to be a community that people can honestly feel comfortable to talk about this kind of stuff. So please join. But now, moving back into our video, Donald, tell us about the groups that we're gonna cover.
So we have Red Velvet, Mamamoo, MomoLand, Cherry Bullet, Dreamcatcher, Meki, and Luna. These were all suggestions that you guys gave us in the comments, and we thought it might be cool to collect all the girl groups together this time and then do a K-pop girl group logo critique and comments and analysis series.
Because we are responding to your comments on some of these groups, we don't have a lot of info on them yet, so this is purely from
logo and the design aspect. I am actually not too familiar with a lot of the groups in this particular batch of K-pop idols. I'm sure. Yeah, so I think this will be interesting, and for you guys too, just a little disclaimer, we're not coming from a malicious background or anything. We're purely looking at the designs and this is just our own thoughts.
Last time when we actually recorded a similar video of other groups, you guys let us know some more history about each different album and the meaning of it. And I think knowing and having that discussion, you are able to share greater appreciation for the hard work behind the design. So if there's something that we missed, honestly comment down below and fill us in, because I think it would make a lot of more sense to it.
I agree. Yeah. Okay. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. All right, so the first thing we have ready up here is Red Velvet. So we're currently looking at two different logo forms. The first one with the ribbon R, and it kind of looks like a V actually, the bottom part of the R. I think it's very straightforward. It's red. And I believe this is the emblem of the group, perhaps. There's a slightly different version of the R here and the V up here. If you look at it closely, it's the same concept. Version. Yeah, but just with a different font. This one at the top reminds me of a ribbon.
Right, they are very similar in the sense where the top one seems like a form that does play with the RV, and it itself is a ribbon. And then the one below, it almost looks like if you put the R and the V of a Times New Roman and then combined it and then cut out the left and the right side. Right. They're the same idea, but they both have very different styles that it kind of evokes to me. I can see the one on the top being part of an album cover and being just that. And then the below one is more kind of a different look where it kind of reminds me of schoolgirls.
The bottom one reminds me of a crest of a royal house or something like that. It's got almost a regal heritage kind of vibe to it. I appreciate that Red Velvet's logo has a completely different vibe from either the Blackpink or Twice. You look at it, you see a lot of serif typography, all their names are spelled in all caps. It shows that they're coming from a heritage kind of background, and I have a feeling that Red Velvet is kind of a classy group based on this type of branding that I'm seeing.
The one at the top does remind me a little bit more of the Twice.
Oh, the T and the W. Yeah. That one just looks a little bit more cheerleadery compared to this one. This one has slightly more elegant end tails to the ribbon. I think they have something with a ribbon reference, because this is in a ribbon form. Right. And then this is also some type of ribbon. Yeah. So it's almost like a gift.
They are gifts.
The gift to their fans.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought it might be interesting to include a couple album covers as well to see how they utilize that logo in their albums, or if they didn't.
It almost looks like each logo.
Yeah.
Like different, and I wouldn't really like recognize it unless you put them constantly next to each other. But the interesting concept that they keep keeping, and which links all the 3 different logos together, is that ribbon concept.
I don't know if it's just me, but I think there's like something quirky about their branding.
I do think so too.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of almost reminds me of like a cuter version of like Ed Hardy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's like a mix between like very girly and feminine, but also like a little bit punky. And
like, it's like cute but quirky.
And then like a mix of like roller skating diner kind of type.
Yes.
Like,
I'm guessing that they change it up. So maybe like for certain concepts, they go with just the logo mark that's a little bit more simplified. And then they also have the full-on branding if they need to like blow it up on something and have like a fancier full-scale logo, which I appreciate because even for DLD, they do make a lot of designs for our clients with like obviously very straightforward branding, and there is a main logo, but sometimes we make alternative logos and even like variations that they could also use as part of their branding. Sometimes people get sick of seeing like the exact same thing all over again.
The next group that we want to discuss is Mamamoo.
Mamamoo. I've seen a couple of their music videos and I feel like they're just all individually so good at like singing and like dancing and just like I feel like they're really good performers. So let's talk about their branding and logo though, and if we feel like it evokes that kind of feeling.
Yes. On their album covers, they pair the Mamamoo, like which looks like almost
I think that's the logo
out.
type actually.
Logo
now that
type.
I'm looking at it,
and then it's always paired with like this emblem of like this like M.
The M with the 2 like lines going across each leg, so it creates like a plus symbol almost. It's very edgy, it's geometric, especially like if you don't know the name, it might be a little bit hard to read. It's not the most legible logo type.
Right.
But if you understand the name and then you look at it, it's like, oh, it's kind of cool that they combine the M's and the A's and the O's, and it just looks like someone's like signature. What I like about their album covers is that they're keeping the M but changing out the border or the forms around it. You can tell that they have a preference for pretty intricate lines when it comes to the border that embellishes the logo mark. You would think that Mamamoo would go for like a slightly like bolder and like more intense lines, because you know they've got that cool girl kind of way. But I do feel like the moon and like this thing almost reminds me of like a sun.
A sun, yeah. Sun
it's
and
very
moon.
elegant.
I actually like this look.
Yeah, I really like it.
And I like the whole play on like the hollow graphic kind of look with the gradients of the blue and the purple. I actually really like that.
Yeah, it's very pretty. It was well planned by their team to have that same like placement of the logo and the border. I don't like it when people change their branding too much, like completely all the time, because then you start to lose your brand identity a little bit, and it almost seems like you are just jumping on like whatever trend there is and not really remembering what your core like look is in terms of visual identity. In
our last video, we did talk about how a logo should be timeless and it could develop over time, but you shouldn't want to scrap the complete foundation of it. And you can grow and add on to it, but like completely scrapping it just doesn't make sense. And so I like how there's like some cohesiveness, even though they're switching it up, look that's keeping developed.
Exactly. Like, and you know what? I'd be even happy to share, you know, DLD's branding history a little bit, because our logo went through some changes too, some operations. But for the better, you know, like I feel like we didn't just completely throw away ideas every year and just keep changing it completely. We wanted to keep certain things that we thought were good and honestly just true to the core of what we do, and then we just kept adding to it. We tried like different shadows and whatnot, and then it might not be its final form, but like for now, like we're happy that we kept the original look, because I think people would get confused if we change things too much. So I do have a lot of appreciation for groups like Mamamoo who try to stick to their original branding and just keep pushing it. So the next group we have is MomoLand. What I like about MomoLand is they're a little quirky too.
I love quirky.
They don't take themselves too seriously, but in a good way. If you watch their music videos, it's like comedic.
I kind of see that through their album covers.
Yeah.
With all the colors. It reminds me of back in the days of like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air kind of color palette. Like very funky.
You know what I just realized? I was just wondering what this is. It's
M.
Mo.
Yeah, Momo.
Momo. Oh. cute. I like that they included Momo into the actual logo mark instead of just going with like an M. I appreciate too that they went with like a slightly handwritten looking typography. I think it's a little bit different, and I think it's true to the image that they're going for. For this album cover in particular, I like that they actually incorporated the typography, the logo type MomoLand in the background behind the girls. I'm just a big fan of reusing logos in every possible way, shape, or form, and just reiterating like who you are. You know, it's crazy. I'm usually a fan of slightly dustier or like faded looking colors. Yeah. But I do like how for them, they're almost like colors of the crayon. That's the vibe I get when I see them. They're definitely really playful and youthful.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, there's one more album cover that I included. So I'm wondering if this one came out before or after, and if they are trying to rebrand. I don't see either the logo mark or the logo type incorporated in this album cover in specifics, and the font looks completely different, right? You guys want to let us know if that was just like an aesthetic choice that they made?
Yeah. But moving on.
Next up we have is Cherry Bullet.
Cherry Bullets.
Cherry Bullet. Ooh.
Cherry. So in terms of concept and like style, what kind of group do you imagine?
Well, they have a script logo. I feel like script fonts are kind of novelty. The way the name is spelled out feels very retro.
Kind of also like that ribbon style from Twice and from Red
Velvet. Yeah, I think it's because obviously the ribbon font, that kind of script font does convey a feeling of it's a little feminine, it's a little cute and elegant, and you know, it's like very curvy, and I don't know what it is, but it's giving me like a slight retro vibe.
Yes.
And maybe it's also the way the gradient is done. I believe I pulled one more logo from Cherry Bullet. This is their album cover. So I maybe this is why I was getting like that retro feel.
Reminds me of the game from like back in the past.
Like those pixelated games. I actually really like their little, literally the cherry bullet.
Yeah.
So if you look carefully, the bullet has a little cherry sprout at the top.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
It's a little bit more obvious if you look at this. Do you see like a little bullet with the cherry thingy? It gives me like a fun arcade vibe.
Edgy. Girls that can hang purely by speculation. I'm just imagining something like sweet but sour.
Exactly. Like, I was gonna say.
So it's like almost like a cute but sexy. Like don't
And if you think about it, like I feel like cherries do have a slightly sexy connotation to it. Like, you know, certain fruits, strawberries, cherries, like I feel like there are certain fruits that have
something about that red keeps evoking that
juicy fruit.
Sorry, it's just my face.
Next up, we have this group called Dreamcatcher.
It's literally a Dreamcatcher.
The font that they use for their branding it's a sans serif font, but it's a little stretched out. Reminds me of like slightly like Gatsby or like a time period era font.
The Great Gatsby will also link a picture of what we're talking about. It's like one of the greatest like American novels. But yes, the font really reminds me of like The Great Gatsby. And also if we scroll below on the album cover,
the borders,
the black, that is definitely Art Nouveau style.
Art Nouveau, there we go, that's the term.
And I think it's 1930s with the flapper girls and whatnot, like that whole style of Great Gatsby.
Right, it's not so color sensitive. That theirs is so purely based on like line quality.
Yes.
And just different line weights, just different symbols, but it's like all the same color. And I really like that actually. It's very clean.
And if we can also attach like a picture of a Dreamcatcher, like they have those little dingly things in the bottom. And it's kind of cute how they incorporated that into their whole brand.
Yeah, I think something interesting about Dreamcatcher's albums too is they don't like going like a full-on rainbow. They like to be a little bit more
stick to one color.
There is a gradient going on, but it's very subtle. They're really into intricate lines and almost like mysterious. Like it's like, what kind of group are they?
It has a vibe.
It's got a vibe.
It's interesting that we just mentioned the Gatsby because it is the American dream and like that chasing that kind of dream. So
wow, you're catching the dream.
wondering whoever concepted them, what their entertainment company was thinking. I'm kind of curious. Please comment below if you know the origin or like if they did any like performances.
If there's any must-watch music videos, let us know. We'd love to check it out. But yeah, just from watching this, like looking at this, I'm getting like an elegant, something like fantasy.
Slight boho.
A little moody.
It's a little moody.
It's definitely not like crazy pop. And
watch it be crazy pop.
It might be crazy pop. I'm sorry then.
Surprise us.
Yeah, surprise. Next up, we have, is it Weki Meki?
Wiki Miki.
Oh, it's Wiki.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, guys.
I'm sorry.
We mispronounced this throughout the whole video, and there's no way we're going to reshoot this, so we're so sorry.
Wiki Miki.
Wiki Miki.
We'll make sure to remember that. So, this is a really interesting logo.
And by interesting, we mean very different compared to all of the K-pop logos we have seen thus far.
It's edgy, but not gonna lie, I prefer something like this a little bit more. I wish that the first line of the W pushed up a little bit, so it's actually like a mirror image of this, the M. I don't know why it's like making me feel weird that it's like off balance. And I feel like the very rounded but thick Kpop fonts gives you kind of like a elementary, like a young kid, children's like TV show kind of vibe. And I feel like the one underneath it gives me like a completely different vibe.
Stuff,
If honestly it didn't say Wiki Miki, I would think that these are two completely separate groups.
Yeah, and doesn't it kind of remind you of Off-White a little bit?
Yeah, and it's a lot more badass. Personally,
edgy.
The album cover is personally my taste, and I would love for them to just keep this, like the Wiki and the Miki.
Right.
But then the Miki is outlined, so got like a different vibe to it.
Like I see what they were trying to do on the top one, be a little bit funky, be a little bit different.
Symmetry, like mirror image thing going on.
And I think in their minds they thought they were being like very edgy about it, but I do understand what you mean by it could also look childish.
Like if you notice, the E and the I's are lowercase, but the K is an uppercase, and the M here is an uppercase, but the W, because it doesn't start all the way from up here, it feels like it's a lowercase W. It doesn't feel like a girl group logo.
Please comment below if they're either like a very like funky, like cutesy group, or if they're more of like an edgy, badass grunge kind of group, because that
I'm getting two completely different
yeah.
messages.
And then this is like even more different with like,
this gives me like a much more mature vibe.
So for the design beginners, what is a serif font? It's the ones with the little dinglings.
You've heard of Times New Roman.
Yeah.
It's the dinglings. It's the old school font. They use it for a lot of newspapers, a lot of more traditional publications and things like that. Sans serif would be fonts like Helvetica, Gotham. You guys have probably heard of Futura. It's a little bit more modern, and it's something that feels more contemporary usually.
Oh, sorry, a note.
Go for it.
Dingling is actually not really
a
graphic design.
That's just a DLD.
We just made it up because it just looked like a little dingling. There's a lot of mixed vibes going on here. I'm sorry, but like personally, my vibe is like the branding is just like all over the place. And I don't mean to offend anyone, but that's just like coming from a pure design point. There's like 3 different things going on. It looks like a uppercase Helvetica with a Wiki Miki on this one saying second album, mini album Lucky. And then there's a sans serif going on with a Wiki Miki on the side. And then there's like a third logo going on with like the other Wiki Miki that we were talking about that was like funky. And usually when they're sans serif fonts, like they're usually used in like editorial kind of styles, where it's supposed to be a little bit like more posh, put together, like fashion and whatnot, or like a little bit more buttoned up. And there's like so many things going on in that one album cover.
It makes me wonder if they had completely different designers that they brought on for each album and each creation process. And there's nothing wrong with that, but this is where something called a brand guide comes very helpful. This is something that we also highly advise our clients to go with. And actually, like everyone who purchases a logo or branding from us, it comes with a brand guide for this reason. So when you brand yourself, it's important, like the logo itself is obviously the most important as it is the face of the brand. But what's also important is identifying proper uses of colors and what are the official colors, and like literally down to the hex code and the Pantone code as well. A brand guide even highlights like what not to do, just so that if you were to work with like a freelance designer to design like a certain album cover, you could literally show them the Wiki Miki branding. It's like a Bible, right? It's like a guide.
Right.
And you just stay within the guidelines. Just ensure that like the branding isn't getting messed with.
Right.
I'm a little bit confused as to what the correct chronological order is.
The rollout of all of this.
Yeah, this red album versus the floral one. Because personally, I would love for them, if I were in charge of their branding, I would roll out with the middle one with the rose.
Right.
Just because I think personally, like aesthetically speaking, that seems the most well designed to me.
Right.
But that being said, I don't really know the correct vibe or the aesthetics and the art direction of the overall group. So hard to say. Yeah.
Please comment below again if you are a fan of them and you would like to educate us.
Yes,
And
please do. We're open to it. All right.
The
next
last
up
group
we have is
Luna.
I kind of like their logo.
It's very modern.
It's super modern. I would be surprised if they're like an older group actually.
Yeah.
Just based on their branding. In a way, like because it's so geometric, it almost reminds me of like Greek symbols a little bit.
I'm wondering what that dash at the end of
And
pink
it's
is.
and
Is
why
it
is
to
it
balance
pink?
it? Yeah, is it to balance out the L or like other
That's
elements?
a good question.
It's interesting. So the thing about certain logos is there are certain logos like I feel like people go like, oh, that's really basic. Or,
Yeah.
like, that's really easy to create. But actually, reaching those solutions that look very clean and simple are not as simple as you think.
Right.
And I do appreciate actually this logo because it is very simplistic, but I know exactly what it's trying to portray. And it's not messy.
So the N seems to be like a lowercase N, but I wonder what was wrong with going with like an uppercase N, as I feel like it does still feel geometric enough.
I think maybe like they wanted to play on with like literally the basic shapes of a
Triangle,
square
circle.
and square, and it just looks like one piece is missing from the square, and Luna as well.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit confused because when I look up Luna album covers, these are the images that I got. I don't know why, but they keep calling them Idare Sonya, which means like girl of the month. If you guys can educate us a little bit on if Luna has two different names, their American like identity versus like the Korean identity.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like 방탄소년단 and BTS? Like I'm not sure.
Yeah, please let us know. And
Yeah.
also, I'm very interested to see that these are actually the final products of the album covers that look so different than what I had imagined.
Right, based on seeing just the logo. For this one in particular, they have this circle and plus plus. It reminds me of a little bit of the Martin Garrix logo. Have you ever seen it?
We'll put it
It's
up
like
here.
the X and the plus, and then it looks like the two eyes. Can you guys educate us on this one? I'm really interested in their branding and what like the thought process was,
Right.
because where did like the square and the circles and the triangle go, you know?
Right. It's just not used in their branding at all. Like this soft photo just reminds me of like very pure and very like female and elegant.
Right.
And then the second one that I'm seeing right now is more of like a glamour with like a slight fashion edge to
Yes.
it. But it really doesn't evoke what I had thought like Luna, the logo.
Right.
And it's neither incorporated in it.
Just because it felt so modern. Like I thought they were gonna, based on just the logo, like almost gave me like a futuristic vibe. If you were to look at like digital like clock or something, the base shape of like a square with like a line in the middle, so all the letters have to fit into like that square. Like you know what I'm talking about when you look at the numbers on a digital clock, and the 2 is angled.
Oh, yeah.
And then like for instance, the O is like a square.
Yes.
This is what the logo almost reminded me of, like that. Like something digital and something like the shapes are perfect, you know? It's not like the natural curves of like the letters. Like it was very geometric, and I just wanted to know if there was like some kind of like scientific reason behind all of this. For some reason, like it just looked really futuristic to me.
It almost evoked the feeling that they would be slightly as edgy as like FX back in the day.
Oh yeah!
Like a little bit of a female, but like a little sassy kick to it, and like a little bit futuristic.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys, for making it to the end of the video and hearing our thoughts. We want to know what groups to keep looking into
Yes.
because K-pop is evolving so fast. Like it's really hard to
keep up.
And we want to, so please comment other groups that we should check out.
Did you have a favorite before we end the video?
I'm a fan of Mamamoo.
Same.
Oh.
I personally feel like something about Mamamoo's logo, I think, is the most similar to the aesthetic that DLD has going on. Very minimal, slightly bold.
We're a little biased.
We're a little bit biased. That being said, like, I do appreciate different forms of, logos and styles, and that's why we're doing this, you know, just so we can like explore all these various ideas. And I have a question for you guys. What is your guys' favorite logo?
Yes.
For whatever
And why.
group and why?
Yeah.
So we can check it out too.
Right. Last time, if you liked this video and you want to see more things from us, please like and please subscribe if you want to stay tuned to future videos, and turn on that bell button if you want to be notified the next time that we have a new video out. Honestly, it's kind of crazy how this started out as like a little side passion project, and we're like, oh, like, okay, if only like 30 people view it, and then now it's kind of
1,000 subscribers.
And it's like, I guess there is a small community going on that likes to hear about this kind of stuff.
Like
so
design. And maybe I have an idea. What about like agency logos?
Ooh.
Yeah. Maybe that could be another interesting topic.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.